1948, the year of the rat. The year we saw apartheid start in South Africa. And the Oscar goes to A Gentleman's Agreement.
I don't have to kiss you in public. I've got a nice dark taxi accident.
Well, what are we waiting for?
It was the year of the Summer London Olympics.
At the tape, it's a photo finish.
And although filmed in colour, you couldn't actually see him win on a colour TV until 1974. And no one won the Grammy that year because, well, the awards didn't start till 1958. Ben Chifley was the Aussie PM back in the day. Give us a wave, Ben. Harry Truman was the US president, and he was the one responsible for dropping the bomb on Japan.
Greatest scientific gamble in history. And we have won.
Holden built their first car that year.
And an Australian car is born.
The average family home only cost $5,000. Petrol was 3.5 cents a litre. Our good friend Charlie was born in 1948, and he sends his regards.
Very happy indeed, is all I can say.
And so was Alice Cooper, Ozzy Osbourne, Olivia Newton-John, and Samuel L. Jackson.
Let me tell you why you're here.
The other Samuel L. Jackson. See, a lot of things happened in 1948. But one really important thing happened. This little guy was born. And although you might know him as Neil, his actual name is Hugh. It says so, right here on his birth certificate. To parents Lionel and Iris Mackay, who by boat made their way all the way from England to Australia with their 3 kids, Jean, Sheila, and Peter.
And that was about 1937, I think.
That's my dad's brother, Ian. He was the only one really born in Australia.
We arrived in New Zealand from Australia on a boat called the Marine Phoenix. It was a US Army troop ship. Mum was pregnant with Neil, and Neil was born in Helensville.
Helensville. Located about an hour north of Auckland, this is where my dad was born.
I can remember us all going up and sitting outside the building, outside the window of the maternity home, waiting for him to come along.
Out of the 5 kids, my dad was the youngest.
The fact that he was just my little brother. There was 8 years difference between him and I, and we just, I don't know, put it this way, tolerated him. What else could we do?
I can completely get that. I tolerate my sister, even today, and she's older than me. I guess it was this age difference between my dad and his brothers and sisters that really made him grow up in a house of adults. And I guess it forced him to be a bit of a grown-up too. Although that didn't quite make him an angel, I did hear that he shot a neighbour in the head with an air rifle right between the eyes. After high school, Huey packed his bags, hopped a plane, and looked for some work in Australia. But the travelling didn't finish there. Over the next 10 or 12 years, my dad would travel to 64 countries around the world. And that was in the days way before TripAdvisor, or Lonely Planet, or Google. And I can honestly say, my sense of adventure and my desire to travel came from the stories that he told during this time.
He's probably seen more of the Philippines than most of the Filipinos.
And it was here in the Philippines where he met my mum.
He was actually very handsome.
I'm sure you mean he still is.
At that time, there was a very popular Spanish singer-actor, and he looks exactly, Dad looks exactly like him. See, he's very popular with the girls, but anyway, he checked in the hotel.
Antonio Morales Boreta, also known as Junior, my dad's doppelganger.
He looks so much like Junior. You know, when he goes to the shopping centers, the whole place stops because everyone thought that he was Junior, and then he has a friend who traveled with him who's got tattoos all over on the arms, and he thought that he was the bodyguard. That's bodyguard. Everyone, all the girls stops and because he looks, and the hair, the long hair, and the shoulder here.
I guess I got to say thank you to Junior. So after Junior put my parents together, my mum moved to Alaska and my dad to London. They kept in contact, and when they met up again in Alaska, they decided that they would get married. And then they had to do it all over again in the Philippines just for my mum's family. And after travelling all around the world, my dad decided Australia was the best place to raise a family. And that's exactly what they did. This is the house my dad built in Macquarie Fields. And it's a place me and my sisters spent most of our childhood. That's Lisa there with my mum and my dad and my grandma.
One thing I remember about Dad growing up, and even now, like, he's always been very generous with his time, generous with his money, but definitely generous with his time. You know, always willing to stop and have a chat, and always made you feel like he had all the time in the world. He was a ferocious reader growing up. He used to tell me about him always reading in his parents' library, and his parents are readers, and he definitely instilled that into me. And so I was very much a ferocious reader growing up. And so one thing about being generous with his time was that he used to take me to the library every week, and he would just sit around and let me browse the library at my leisure. And you know, he obviously really encouraged me to read and didn't care, and he just sat around till whenever, like he didn't care how long I took about borrowing the books. Yeah, he was always giving and generous with his time, and yeah, so that I love that.
If you've ever had a conversation with my dad, you'll understand exactly what she's talking about. He is certainly very generous with his time.
He's always been a good servant.
For about 35 years, my dad served in the local church. Every Sunday, that's where you'd find us. And from time to time, that meant going on a few missions trips. But nowadays, when he's not travelling, which is hardly ever, you'll find him in the shed.
Yeah, so he's always in the shed. If you can't find him and he's home, his car's home, he's in the shed.
More of his time there when he's at home. So, like if Lisa's asking, the kids asking, where's Pop, where's Dad, in his sanctuary, because his shed is his place.
My dad's always been a fiddler, a tinkerer, a fixer, a creator. And you know what, to be fair, to the shed and to the sanctuary, he's very good at what he does. This old man makes some very nice things out of wood, award-winning things. So now you know a few things about my dad. But for the sake of amusement, I want to see how much his grandkids know about him.
New Zealand? In July? New Zealand? Australia? Philippines? Philippines! Thursday? I don't know. 43? 1920? 35? 53? 52? One sister. 2 sisters and 3 brothers. 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He likes to go on Facebook. Me. Because I'm awesome. Me. What? No. If I ask what are we gonna do, and he always says drink beer and sing songs. When I say Papa, he says Mama. And sometimes he says I'm an alligator, I'll get you and eat you up. Hello. Stop it. 80? 22. Um, 40. $1. $1 million or more. 60. About maybe 200. 100,000 or something. 14. 200,000 more. 50 too many. My heart is a heart and I love him. I love you. I love you. Happy birthday, and he is the best grandpa in the world. Happy birthday, Papa. We all love you. Thank you for always fixing all of our broken stuff, and hope you have an awesome birthday.